Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Roger Alan Friedman wants to transform your thinking and make you wealthy. I want to know more. Roger, thanks for being with us today.
I'm glad to be here, Bill. Thank you.
Roger, you've written a book, 18 Wealth Lessons That Will Transform Your Thinking. And I think even if we get a few of those in today, we'll be a lot richer than we are starting out, certainly me. So I'm happy to do that. You start out your book saying you're going to give us a blueprint to ensure superior financial outcome. I'm lazy. I really like that. As soon as I read that, I said, oh, this is great, because Roger's going to set us up and give us some order to, at least to my life. How does this blueprint work?
Well, very simply, I have been in the wealth management business for about 44 years. And I started at a place, I'm sure you know the name, E.F. Hutton and Company.
When
E.F. Hutton, I'm that old.
I remember their commercials, yes.
Oh, exactly, with John Howard. Well, E.F. Hutton became Shearson, became Smith Barney. I was a senior investment management consultant at Smith Barney. We were then bought by Morgan Stanley, where I became a senior vice president of wealth management. Went on to become a managing director at another firm. This is something that I've been intimately involved in for basically my whole adult life. And I'd be a pretty bad wealth manager, Bill, if I didn't pick up some tips along the way. What do you think?
I'm sure you did, and I know from your book we're going to learn a lot, and hopefully most of us are going to be a bit richer after the day. Now,
okay.
You mentioned mentors and something called Drive Time University, which I really like. Tell us about that and how the two work together.
Quite a few years ago, I started listening to cassettes in my car, and yes, I did have 8 tracks at home. Matter of fact, I think I had one in the car also. And I started going to conferences, and I listened to Jim Rohn, I listened to Brian Tracy, and I listened to a number of others. And I kept learning and learning things that I should be doing that I wasn't doing. So what I started doing is listening every day in the car. I wouldn't listen to music. Now, I love music, but I didn't listen to music, and I listened to these instructional tapes every day on my commute. And Brian Tracy called the Drive Time University as good a name as I've ever heard. So over the course of about 5 or 6 years, I literally got 2 MBAs in what I was learning. And that was invaluable.
And probably even more so, other than the cost of the CD, or at that time the 8-track, and
it was free.
It's free. That's we love that word.
But there was no student union with really good espresso.
Well, you got to give up something. But believe it or not, and I'm sure you know it because those are the same people we listen to and talk to. We've had guests who tell us they literally wore out the tape. They played it so many times in the car, and whether it was a CD
correct.
or a tape, depending on the era, but they literally wore it out. But of course, at the end of the story, they are a success that starting out their career, no one would have picked them for that type of success, but they kept playing it and programming themselves and listening to minds that were sharper in finance and wealth management. And it took them where they wanted to go.
Yeah. Now this stuff is in my bones. I don't need a script. I don't need to have anything in front of me to have a 5-hour conversation with you. By the way, you're buying dinner tonight.
Fair enough. I think that's a fair trade-off. And by the way, I love your book for many reasons, but for our audience, one of the things we like, your book is entitled 18 Wealth Reasons That Will Transform Your Thinking. And what I particularly like about it, you're brief and to the point. You're not, if somebody isn't a reader and they want to take action and do something, I think this book is less than 110 pages, maybe less than 100 pages, but you get right at it.
You'll never think I'm Steinbeck or, Faulkner. You won't make that mistake. No. Okay. I'm not in their league.
And they're not in your league either.
But, I think it would be helpful on today's show to just literally talk about the table of contents, because that's where I have the 18 wealth lessons laid out. As you and I were discussing on page 12, my friend Lee Miltier gave me a lot of great ideas, but the ideas contained in this book are basically wealth lessons 1 through 18, which are the table of contents.
And that's fair enough. You're the expert, so we're going to take your guidance. You start out by saying, look around. What do you see? That's wealth lesson number 1. What do most people come back and say? A deli, 2 cars, and then a bird?
For example, let's say you're walking down the street, you're on the way to work, and you pass by Starbucks, and there's a line 18 deep with all these people looking at their phones, and they're ordering a cup of coffee that the description is 19 words. The cup of coffee is about $6.50, and it doesn't resemble brown water. I don't know what it is, but it's not hot brown water, okay? I did the math a long time ago. When somebody gets a venti, frappuccino, whatever the heck it is, over the course of a year, if they're doing that every day, that's several thousands of dollars. Now, I love coffee as much as the next person. Matter of fact, I'm a freak when it comes to coffee. I buy it by the 5-pound bag from a roaster I found in Rockville. I've been their client for 30 years.
You're the client everybody wants.
45 cents.
Instead of $5.
Instead of $5 or $6. Okay? I'm not cheap by any means, but I'm not wasteful. I look around. What is everyone doing? And what Dan Kennedy taught me is look around what everyone else is doing and don't do that.
Don't, you say. Don't.
Don't.
Do not.
Don't. Do not do that. Look at what everyone else is doing and don't do that. The best lesson I ever learned in my life.
And honestly, over years, and we've both been around a good many years, that's certainly true. We see what the majority, in fact, much like yourself, when Starbucks first came out, and it's wonderful if you like it and can afford it, that's fine for the people. But I kept saying, why are people paying this much? I make a cup of coffee in the kitchen. I don't know, between the cream I put in and the coffee, if you broke it down into cost, at that time it must have been 28 cents a cup or 30 cents. Sure. And I'm saying, why are they going? They have to get out of the car, go pick it up, come in the car, and drive off with it. It's more trouble. And in fact, in the office I worked in at the time, we put out for the staff free coffee and good coffee pots, not the machines and that. Believe it or not, some people would come in with the cup and we would often wonder, like, you just spent, even if you didn't go to Starbucks, you spent $2.98 or $3, you bought a donut with it or something else. And the company, as a perk, wanted to give you free coffee that, it would keep you going. It would keep you, certainly it would help keep people awake.
I go to Starbucks once a year, whether I need to or not.
Just to practice the lesson. Just to practice. And check the prices. And of course, you didn't even add food to your coffee. You just had the coffee you're talking about. If you had that biscuit or something, we're probably climbing up.
You're talking to someone who's born and bred in Manhattan. And I'm talking about coffee.
No, you're right on the button. Okay, tell us about habits. Now, that's lesson number 2.
Yeah, a lot of times people have bad money habits. I remember Jim Rohn standing up in a Dallas convention center telling everyone, would you listen to someone if they said, my money just kind of gets away from me. I don't know where it goes, but at the end of the month, I don't have anything. Would you take advice from someone like that? You have to cultivate good money habits. And part of that is not being wasteful. Now, mind you, I didn't say cheap. I said wasteful, okay? And you could figure out the difference whether you're going to Safeway or whether you're going on a vacation or on a trip. You know what is, being cheap, and you know what is being extravagant and wasteful. It just takes some thought. That's all. All I'm asking people to do is to be thoughtful.
Roger, before we go any further, I'm going to be thoughtful and let our audience know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Our guest today is Roger Alan Friedman, Friedman. His book is 18 Wealth Lessons that will transform your thinking. And Roger, would you give us the website where we can find out more information?
Yes, eocritic.com, short for Equal Opportunity Critic.
.com. Okay,
Right.
And we'll ask you that a few more times during the show. So to our regulars, if you didn't get it down, you know it's going to be coming again. Make sure you take this down. It's a short book. It's not going to take you a lot of time, but it was already, and I'm going to be telling Roger because I already took some of the advice you talked about, and I had to take action, so I did that. I called my IRA company who's handling it, and I said, is there any way I can get some more money on my IRA? And they, oh, yeah, you can get more, and without risk. I didn't want to take any substantial risk. It took at least 3 or 4 phone calls because every time I called, I had to tell them my sock size, my pant size, my birth date, my mother's middle name, where my dog comes from, everything. But that's okay. They have to, I guess, lock you in and make sure they're talking to the right person. So that was fair. But the results are going to be substantial. And as a result of that, my IRA is going to be earning a lot more money, last me a lot longer, and provide much better. Yeah. And I have to thank you because it was your good advice, and you yelled and said, take action, and I followed some of these rules because that's the ones
nothing happens unless you take action. And that takes me to number 3, which is self-defeating behaviors. I know some people that are modest earners. I mean, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And every time a new iPhone comes out, they literally camp out at the Apple store to get in there to blow $1,200 on a phone that carries more apps in it, that takes better, clearer pictures, like they're a Playboy photographer, which they're not. I don't get it. The iPhone that I have is, 9 generations old. It's fine. I don't want apps on there anyway. I delete them. And when I get mad at the damn thing, I want to throw it in Tampa Bay.
Roger, I'm even more surprised. I'm going to share that with you, but I'm even more surprised. At least that's something useful, and it's technology, and it's moving the ball forward. But what amazes me when people line up at the sneaker store and wait 24 hours, because pretty much to me, most sneakers are the same. And no matter what, if I jump at my highest, I'm 3 inches off the ground. And if I jump forward, I'm 4 inches forward. So nothing is going to improve that too much. But as you said, and we were laughing about this, that certain things people will spend a great deal of money on, and at least your book makes them take a look at it. Do they really want it, and is it worth it to them?
Yeah, and when it comes down to the bottom line, behavior is what separates the wealthy from the unwealthy. And I'm going to say it again. Behavior is what separates the wealthy from the unwealthy. And I've met many, many wealthy people in my 40 years of wealth management. I've never met a billionaire, but I've met someone with $100 million. And
I'll go with that.
Bill, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. We have that in common.
Roger, you mentioned in your book something that took me a bit by surprise, so I'd like you to explain it to us. You say the primary reason to pursue wealth, and I thought, is to get rich. But I had it wrong. And the real answer in your book is autonomy. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. Autonomy basically means you can do what you want, with who you want, when you want, how you want, without having to kowtow to anyone. If you want to take a first class air travel to Tuscany, you do it. Yes, it costs X dollars, but if you have the wherewithal to do that, if that's what you want to do, you can do it. Okay? You don't have to fly on the wing with a rubber band attached to the wing and your, $100 sneakers. Okay? But autonomy to me is what it's all about. The ability to do what you want when you want. Okay? And not everyone gets to do that in life.
And so many people, once again, we've been on for 35 years. Essentially, that is really what they want. When they're looking for something, and we'll be talking about what they do in life and why they do it, they say, I just want to be able to go, instead of working till 6 or 8, that at 4 o'clock, if I want to go to my daughter's soccer game, I can go to that, or a concert.
Exactly.
recital.
And it has nothing to do with being rich. It means having the freedom, the autonomy, the ability to do what you want when you want. And also, here's the other thing about becoming wealthy is that you could help more people. Okay. I remember, when I first started being charitable a number of years ago, I used to write out $25 and $50 checks. Now I could write larger checks, and it gives me a warm feeling inside that I'm actually doing some good.
And it makes you, of course, for all the work you've produced over the years, the books, the financial instruction, it's using it for a positive, whether it's medical supplies for someone or food for the needy or just daily needs that people require.
Right. So I do a lot of work for veterans and first responders, our military, and I give to those charities basically on a monthly basis. I have a note on my calendar. On the 5th of every month, I get out my checkbook.
Now we like you even more.
Well, so it becomes a task. Okay. I have that task on the 5th. I complete it. It's done. And now I'll worry about it in another month. Okay.
No,
but I checked it off.
One of the things you mentioned in the book, and of course it's true because you just told us how you do it, but you say you become wealthy by taking action. Is that the reason, to be honest, that you're seeing everybody and the different people who are wealthy, maybe different degrees of wealth? Is that the reason most of us fail? We talk about it, but we don't take the action?
Yeah. So to give you a prime example, if someone were to buy my book and they go, oh, gee, it's only 100 odd pages, I'll read it in 2 evenings, and they take a highlighter and they go to town and then they put it back on the bookshelf without taking any action or making any plans to make any changes in their lifestyle, then they've wasted their time. They may as well be watching reruns of Friends. Okay? They must take action.
And I think if we take nothing else away, and every show that we do, we try to have 1 or 2 short statements as a takeaway. And if you remember nothing else, 2 words, take action. Do something that's going to get you. One part of taking action might be to go out and get this book, because if the person has it, they can keep looking back. And as you said, if they just take the table of contents and go through it and focused on, I think, 1 a day, I think almost that has to change your life, because like you just said, just changing from the coffee in the morning, the Starbucks alone would save you almost $2,000 a month.
Yeah,
a year.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
And part and parcel of that is the next item, which is willingness. I've met so many people in my life, Bill, that just simply are not willing to do the work to make the changes. They just won't do it.
I have to tell you now, your book made me feel guilty. So what I did was to, as I said to you, I called my IRA company and talked to them about it and reached out. And because it took a couple hours of telephone time and it was a little annoying, et cetera. But they have to do that to ensure I'm the right person, et cetera, like the medical offices.
Yeah, they want to know the shoe size of your dog.
Pretty much. But at least at the end of it, there's a significant benefit. And I don't think any of us, if they said, would you spend 3 hours to get this much of a future return on your investment? Absolutely. I think any of us from the beginning would have said that. So your book shamed me into it. Let me put it that way. So thank you.
You're very welcome. So, when it comes to willingness, on page 24 of my book, I talk about 4 people that were willing to put in the work. Tom Monahan, at age 23, started Domino's Pizza. I don't have to tell you where that went. Dave Thomas left high school in 10th grade. Wendy's. Gigantic. It's still there even after his death. Quentin Tarantino dropped out of high school. You ever hear of Reservoir Dogs?
Of course.
Or Pulp Fiction? The man is a living legend. And last but not least, Joe Polish, who was a student of my mentor, Dan Kennedy. Joe got an F in marketing in college, and he did so poorly it was ridiculous. He was a failed carpet cleaner. You ever hear of the Genius Network? He created it. The membership dues, $25,000 a year.
And I just want to point out for people, and I love to hear those stories, especially the last one, because we all think, hey, wait, if I didn't get high grades in school, I can't compete with these other people who are in the elite colleges. Or if I failed at something, it kind of must mean I'm going to fail all the time.
Hey, I was a solid B- student at State U in the armpit of New York between Rochester and Buffalo. Nothing against you guys, but, it wasn't Manhattan.
But I want to get back to some more of these in a few seconds. But again, I want to make sure that our audience knows if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Our guest today is Roger Alan Friedman. That's Friedman. His book is 18 Wealth Lessons That Will Transform Your Thinking. And Roger, would you give us the website again?
eocritic.com.
Wealth lesson number 6 is understand what you can and cannot control. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, a lot of people think about, for example, the stock market. That scares a lot of people. I know that when I think of my grandparents, they were conservative investors. That meant everything was in the bank or the insurance company. There were no other places. There was no stock market anything. Nowadays, the stock market still scares a lot of people, but we have inflation and we have federal income taxes and state income taxes, and people realize they need to grow their money. But let me ask you, Bill, have you found a way to control the stock market?
If I did, we wouldn't be here now. I'd be on my yacht flying or sailing around the world.
Tahiti, yes. Have you found a way to control interest rates?
Darn
the
it,
price
no.
of oil, the price of gold or silver. These are things that we simply can't control. They are outside of our control. But what we can control is our behavior and the decisions we make.
Now, Roger, I find a lot of things, I'll say, I have to call this office the end of the week. And then it's Friday, and maybe they're out on a Friday, so I'll push it off to Monday and Tuesday. I know that's a problem that I have. I've controlled it a bit, but it controls me too. But you say we have to have a sense of urgency. So can you bring that forward, and how does that apply to our everyday life, a sense of urgency?
So each and every day, my day is pre-planned. I don't come into the office on Tuesday and go, gee, what am I going to do today? I have my time blocked out. I know what I'm doing at 10 o'clock. I know what I'm doing at 10:45. I know what I'm doing at 1:30. I have a list of people that need to be contacted so that the minutes are not wasted, because, Bill, we're never going to get those minutes back again. Sure, I wish I was 30 again. Ain't going to happen. There has to be urgency so that your behavior is productive and not time wasting.
We tend to look at wealthy people, and they may be sports stars or rock stars, etc., and podcasters who are doing very well as influencers, etc. They look like life is easy. We just get up in the morning, they have their coffee, and they may even go to Starbucks and spend that extra $5 because they make $10 billion a year or whatever.
Sure.
You have a statement here, and we see that as like that's the ideal life. They never have a worry, nothing ever goes wrong, etc. But you say get comfortable being uncomfortable. So how can you put those two together?
Well, basically, and this is not mine, I don't know where I got it, all growth comes outside your comfort zone. So if you want to grow, you have to get really accustomed to being uncomfortable. Notice I didn't say you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't want anyone's head to explode. But you need to be accustomed to being uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're in your growth zone. And that's when the magic happens. Sitting on your couch every day, sipping frappuccinos and eating bonbons ain't going to do it, Bill.
You're
Get your ass
disappointing
to the
me.
gym.
You're disappointing
That's what I'm doing after this interview.
And I commend you, obviously, for that. And you make such a good point with that. And the entrepreneurs and the people who have been successful that I know, yes, they look, they're well-dressed, they come out, they get into a nice car. But there are moments in the day when they're pressured. They have to make that phone call they don't want to. They have to fire an employee and hire an employee. And they'd rather not have to do that because it's never pleasant letting someone go. But they still have to do those things. And sometimes the tasks they take involve either a lot of people's lives or a great deal of money, which, again, will influence people somewhere else. So,
you just said something that rang a bell. So one of the things that I learned, and this has to do a lot with going to the gym. So I lift weights 4 to 5 times a week. And the biggest reason why people don't go to the gym, I don't feel like it. Right?
Exactly. Sure.
Okay. I have learned that if I don't feel like doing something, that is the best reason to do it. And that's what gets me off my butt. If I don't feel like doing it, I know I got to do it.
I like the way you put that in a subtle way. You just showed our audience you're following your own rules. It's easy to write 10 rules for this or 5 ways to do this, but does the author follow them?
I followed every single rule.
I can tell just from what you said here. As we wrap up, can you give us one piece of advice that you want to leave us with, the takeaway?
Yeah. So avoid stupid. Okay. It is so easy to do stupid things. If you look at TV, you got every actor, you got Joe Namath, you got everyone saying, buy gold for your IRA. Or, buy silver. And, all these people that bought these gold IRAs a couple of months ago, I won't say the name of the company, but the company just disappeared overnight in Beverly Hills. The office was empty and the depository has no record of their orders. All these IRA accounts for hundreds or maybe thousands of people, it's all thin air.
Sad
Avoid
and amazing.
stupid.
Avoid stupid. Roger, before we wrap up, once again, I'd like you to give us that website.
EOCritic, CRITIC.com.
And once again, the book is 18 Wealth Lessons That Will Transform Your Thinking. It's an easy read. It's simple. If you don't want to read it yourself, get it for your son, your brother, your sister,
people could always
your
Google
father.
me. They could find me on Amazon. I've written 7 books, 5 of them on money. So they could always find me.
And I think based on today's show, they know your advice is good, it's pertinent, and it is going to change things. And it's up to them if they want to take, how much action they want to take. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Bill, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
I'd like to let our audience know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.